I guess it's kind of our fault for overthinking it too much, because the finale was pretty simple. It wasn't anything crazy, and it wasn't as epic as Season 2's, definitely, but it was a conclusion nonetheless. We got a lot of answers that we had questions to, and needless to say, yes, there were some disappointments, also some conclusions. My question is, what happens in Season 4? Because basically everything came to a closure. I think they're gonna tease Season 4 with the Ahsoka series, make us more excited about Season 4, because as it stands right now, everything has been resolved. I mean, Gideon is dead, they have recaptured Mandalore, Grogu and Din are chilling. There's not much to it other than maybe the Mythosaur, but yeah. Let's start with Bo-Katan trying to make her way around the base of Moff Gideon. Axe Woves is heading for the cruiser, trying to save everybody down below, and as Din Djarin is being carried away, he starts fighting the troopers, and eventually, with Grogu's help, he ends up prevailing in the end. In this episode, they made sure to show you how strong this Beskar armor really is. Both Din's armor and Trooper's armor is pretty strong. They are literally shooting each other, and it does not stick. We'll get the title card for the episode, The Return. So, in the beginning, we don't know what that really means. I kind of had an idea, but in the end, of course, we understand that they literally spoiled the episode with this title card. They actually told us that they will return, so don't worry about it. Fighters are going to attack the Mandalorian cruiser, but Moff Gideon now discovers that Din Djarin and Grogu have both escaped and have penetrated his inner base. This is when we get a very funny and interesting scene, kind of an expanding lore scene. I always love these because now we get more of R5, and this has always been a good thing in The Mandalorian. Whatever you want to say, whether sometimes it is action-packed or cameo heavy or whatever, they've never really stopped giving the fans more lore, minimal lore to maximum lore. This time around we got R5 heavily involved. He was actually helping Din Djarin maneuver through the inner base in order to find Moff Gideon's control room. Once R5 makes it to one of the lower platforms, we now understand that aside from a faulty motivator, R5 also has a fear of heights. We also have a mouse droid patrolling around. So, as I said, there's a lot of little things in there sprinkled around that just expands the Star Wars lore little by little, and I'm a big fan of that. As R5 helps Din Djarin locate the control base, because Din Djarin wants to end this once and for all. In the meantime, Axe Woves makes it to the cruiser, informs his troopers to make it with the fleet down below, help Bo-Katan, and as they're doing that, TIE interceptors and bombers start attacking the Mandalorian cruiser, and as we see later on, Axe Woves is now the captain going down with the ship. I expected by this point that Axe Woves would actually reveal himself to be a double agent, a spy, a turncoat, whatever you want to call him. He wasn't any of that. He was just following orders, wanting to reunite Mandalore again. In fact, I know that a lot of speculation has been heavily inputted in around this week from episode 7 to 8. We suspected that this was a spy and that was a spy and that Moff Gideon was working with these people, but in the end I think this was just conjecture from the fans. We see that the finale is just plain and simple. It's not that complicated. Moff Gideon is the bad guy and these others are the good guys, so there's not really any intrigue per se. I felt kind of disappointed by that, but at least we got a conclusion to this epic story. Din Djarin makes it to the shield area, to the multiple shield area that I said in episode 7 reminded me of course, the Phantom Menace scene on Naboo where Qui-Gon and Maul fight. This was literally a video game scene because the shields kind of acted like levels for Din Djarin. At this point, he was without weapons because the guards, when they captured him in episode 7, they stripped him away of all his weaponry. Now, R5 is lowering the shields one after another. When the first one gets lowered, Din Djarin gets into a fight, obtains a knife, kills both the soldiers. When the next shield is released, he fights another two, gains a hand shield and an electric baton. Then the next one, he gains a blaster as well. And so this was very funny for me, seeing how each level he is moving up, he is gaining a better weapon. Literally a video game scene. Now we get to the juicy part, and that is the Moff Gideon clones. Now, in a video a couple of days ago. I uploaded who are these people inside these tanks. I speculated that there was a lot of possibilities, but one of the realistic ones I thought was Moff Gideon having clones of himself. For various reasons, of course. In a spooky jump scare kind of way, we see that at least one of them, if not all, are functioning and kind of alive, because one of them opens his eyes. Unfortunately for Moff Gideon, Din Djarin gets rid of all of them by shutting the system down and the tanks overflowing, stopping its operations, and they just blow up. Literally every clone is killed. What we of course later find out is that this is why Moff Gideon and Dr. Pershing were so interested in Grogu. Moff Gideon wanted to create Force clones, an idea from Legends that has been over-discussed throughout the years. Is it even possible? Because it seems that Moff Gideon might have cracked some code, but they weren't still ready. So it doesn't seem that anybody could really crack this code. The only one that kind of came close was Palpatine with Project Necromancer, perhaps with Snoke, something to that effect. Lastly, the armor makes it with the fleet. Bo-Katan is let known, and they all get together to attack the Mandalorian base in higher numbers. Fortunately, now we get to some action, to some real action, because Moff Gideon is pissed. While Din Djarin makes it to the control room, Moff Gideon is just outside with his suit. As we suspected from episode 7, this is actually an exoskeleton. It's not just Beskar armor. His suit made noise when it moved. He could grab Din Djarin with one arm and fling him around. The Praetorian guards make another cameo. They keep popping up out of nowhere, so I don't know where they are for the rest of the time. And they were about to kill Din Djarin, same as Paz Vizsla, if it weren't for Grogu, who distracted them enough to put them inside the control room, and Din Djarin continued fighting Moff Gideon, albeit to no avail. This is when Bo-Katan finally gets into her confrontation with Moff Gideon. It's been long overdue. She even tells Din Djarin to not worry about it and go save his kid. We see a neat looking weapon from Moff Gideon. Also, he has a double-bladed electric baton. It's similar to the Electro Staff that Grievous's guards wielded in episode 3, albeit more neat and slicker, more modern. But what you might have missed in plain sight is that this dude with a Darth Maul looking helmet and armor is wielding a double-bladed weapon. This was a direct reference to Darth Maul. The problem is that as good as Bo-Katan wields the Darksaber, Moff Gideon with this exoskeleton is just too good. Moff Gideon keeps beating her at every turn. Meanwhile, Grogu and Din Djarin are trying their best against the Praetorian guards, but it is Grogu who kind of saves the day, because using the Force, he keeps messing with the Praetorian guards, pushing them away, pushing their weaponry away, until Din Djarin has recouped enough to actually shoot them and stab them beneath their helmet. Because this Beskar armor is literally, at times, unpenetrable. Now things are heating up, because Axe Woves is coming with the entire cruiser in flames down on the base. He is going to kamikaze this entire area. In the meantime, Moff Gideon constantly taunts Bo-Katan, telling her to give him the Darksaber and that he will give her a warrior's death. As she refuses, during one swing, Gideon grabs her arm that is wielding the Darksaber, crushes it so much with his exoskeleton that he actually destroys the Darksaber. This was one of the more shocking things to come out of the episode. Nobody really expected for the Darksaber, this version of the Darksaber, to be destroyed. I don't think this is the end of the Darksaber, because the crystal might be good and well. It just needs to be extracted and perhaps put into a new hilt, but Axe Woves penetrates the base through the crack and literally engulfs this entire area in flame. The others escape except for Moff Gideon, Grogu, Din Djarin, and Bo-Katan. We finally see the demise of Moff Gideon, with this cruiser inside the base exploding and expanding its fires. It engulfs Moff Gideon that he finally dies. Now we know that his clones are dead as well, so we practically can put a rest on Moff Gideon's name. Coming to the rescue, of course, is Grogu, who, with his Force shield, he protects Bo-Katan himself and Din Djarin from the flames until they dissipate, and he comes out as the ultimate badass hero. It didn't take long, but now we see that Mandalorians have already went inside the living waters. The armor finally finishes Ragnar's Mandalorian baptism, and what I think was the most touching moment, at least for me, I kind of welled up honestly, is that Din Djarin finally making it official. That if Grogu cannot become a foundling because he still cannot speak, then he ultimately adopts him as his own son. Something that we've known for a couple of seasons now, of course, but it was never made official. Now it is. Din Djarin definitively, and by Mandalorian creed, Grogu's father, and Grogu shall be known from now on as Din Grogu. This other scene is kind of a hint from Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni. Grogu approaches the living waters, looks at it, tries to touch it, and at that moment, as we see in the depths, the mythosaur opens his eyes, kind of indicating that Grogu might still be the tamer of the mythosaur. Grogu and Din Djarin go speak to Captain Teva, with Din wanting more work from the New Republic as a part-time bounty hunter. By the way, of course, similar to the other scene that we had on this cantina, Dave Filoni is sitting right behind Captain Teva, where you can see here. So another short, neat cameo. As he returns to Navarro, Greef Karga and Din Djarin exchange gifts. Greef Karga gives Din Djarin, just for himself, a neat little hut just outside of the town where Grogu and Din Djarin can live. At the same time, Din Djarin gives Greef Karga a new marshal that he needs, that is IG-11, with his new memory circuit. All's well and ends well, with Grogu still up to his antics with the frogs, Din Djarin for the first time in a long time just chilling, sitting there, enjoying peace together with his new son, and the ending is literally a Looney Tunes happy ending. It kind of really felt like a series finale more than a season finale, and I'm kind of scared for season 4 because if this season had troubles with its viewership, season 4 with this ending seems to be in trouble because we didn't get to see Pedro Pascal at all in this season. He didn't remove his helmet. We didn't get to see Boba Fett. We didn't get to see most of what we wanted to see. So they essentially just set up the Ahsoka series. I don't know what the future holds. Let me know, what do you guys think down below in the comments. Thank you so much for watching this video, and if you enjoyed, leave a thumbs up down below, subscribe for dailies. Now you have an awesome day, Star Wars fans. I'll see you in the next video, and may the Force be with you. Until then.